Hi, I'm James. I'm Phil's younger son. I have some letters from some people. My childhood best friend, Brendan Fox, remembers my father as gentle, wry, and always thoughtful. My father's doctor wrote a very touching letter, which I'd like to read. It was a very cold winter day when I first met you in the hospital. The circumstances were very challenging. What struck me first about you, your manner of speaking, your posture, and your essence, was in a word, strength. There's what's in the chart, now 89-year-old male, and then there was you, brimming with life and volubility. Welcoming me into the room to get to the bottom of what we were going to do. I listen to your heart. It's consistent and steady, strong. I have your walk encumbered as you were with medical devices, strong. Me as the oncologist, you as the patient. We'll figure this one out. This gentleman is going to need someone, is someone we need to find solutions for. You walked here to my office in the winter, in the wind, in the snow. You were mission focused on what needed to be done. You braved radiation, no small feat at any age. Then you were ready to move on from cancer, move on with the rest of what I felt would be good, many more good years of life. It's not every 89-year-old we can say that about. As the months went on, your cancer declared itself as the aggressive monster it was, and I still saw your strength every day. Readmitted you, sent you to the ICU in a chaotic storm of complications and infections, yet still there was always strength. Every morning I came to see you. Every morning you were who you had always been with me. A gentleman, a kind, thoughtful man, a persistent spirit, battling an opponent that pulls no punches. My words, you are a force of nature. I meant what I said to you, even after the ICU stay. I stuck by those words. You were strong. You will get through this. You will get better because you have before. We tried a treatment that I felt if anyone could benefit from it would be you. Why try this now, they asked. Because he deserves a fighting chance, because he defies what you expect someone in his situation to be. Seasons started to change, the treatment didn't work, you got sicker. I could not fathom your strength. I know others on our medical team had a hard time comprehending it. The last day I saw you, when you were awake, is one I will never forget. Months into this, the hospital had taken its toll on you, that was obvious. I think you recognized me. Even then, you still grabbed my hand. You were still strong somehow. I told you I was sorry I could not do more for you. I think of you so often still. Now, months later, when I pass the rooms you were in, when I talk to a patient who needs a reminder of what it means to be strong. When I think about what it means to stare cancer down and not flinch. When I think of the respect you showed me, my nurses, my staff. I still come back to that first meeting after everything, after all you suffered, and I think of the word that to me, at least, defined you, strength. To me, at least, defined you, strength. You were truly a force of nature, and I was so honored to have been a part of your life. My father loved that bell in the hospital. One of my first memories is of my father rocking me singing Bing Crosby's lullaby, Kentucky Babe. Skeeters are a-hummin' on the honeysuckle vine. Sleep, Kentucky Babe. He was a child of the golden age of radio. On vacations, when I bounced on the hotel bed, my father would toss me up high as though announcing a 1930s Count Basie song, the Jamie Bounce. He called me Jamie. He loved Benny Goodman and the Lone Ranger in The Shadow as a boy. He used to imitate Tonto Kimosabe and The Shadow Knows and Out of the Fog into the Night, Bulldog Drummond. And even this year, just this year, he did his imitation of Peavey from The Great Gildersleeve. When he wouldn't agree with something, he would say, "Oh, well, now, I wouldn't say that." He had a World War II newspaper scrapbook with all the battles. When FDR died, a friend of his said, "What will the Jews do now?" His father, a Polish immigrant, said to him, "What wouldn't I do for you?" His mother was a Romanian immigrant who said, "Eat that, children are starving in Europe." His Uncle Max at card games got tired of waiting for his mother to play her hand and would say in Yiddish, "No," which meant, "come on." His cousin Mark came to visit them after the war and taught him how to drive and told him to slow down, saying, "Pavoya, pavoya," which meant slow down. They lived above his father's luncheonette where he worked as a busboy in Bensonhurst, as he did in Grossinger's Resort in the Catskills, where an old man asked him every day, "Busboy, get me a hot water with lemon." He also caddied on a golf course where he rebelliously ate his first ham sandwich. He loved Rita Hayworth. Phi Beta Kappa went to Brooklyn College, where they told adolescent math jokes like the angle of the dangle is proportionate to the heat of the meat. And sang songs like, "Down by the old, not the new, but the old, mill stream, not the river, but the stream, when I first, not the second, but the first, met you, not me, but you." And soon he did meet my mother, a freshman at Brooklyn College, who asked him for a nickel for the payphone, and he asked her out. I made them recreate this moment 50 years later in the same spot, seen in the photos over there. They kissed at the fountain on campus, also shown. They married in 1955 and lived on the Army base in El Paso, Texas when he was drafted, and on the way into a restaurant, a local would approach my father for some nefarious activity, asking, "Hey buddy, you ready?" My father would reply, "No thanks, I haven't eaten yet." On the way out, the same man would say, "Hey buddy, you ready?" To which my dad would reply, "No thanks, I just ate." Later they were stationed in Orléans, France, where they fell in love with the French language. For their whole lives, when feeling romantic, he called my mom, "Ma chérie." Sailing with my mom in the Chesapeake Bay, the photo with the beard. Once my mother got fed up with his orders, threw down the ropes and said, "I quit," to which my father said, "You can't quit, that's mutiny." My father's favorite joke was, "Well, here's the way I look at it." Or, "Did you hear the one about the actuary who drowned in a pond whose average depth was 3 inches? Or, "Why are all actuaries bald?" Because they always say, "Oh, I should have thought of that." When he moved to Greenwich, they asked him, "Do you have a boat?" To which he replied, "No, I have a house." He called golf the sport of the idle rich. He wrote letters to the local paper, once wrote a letter to Ronald Reagan to stop the nuclear arms race with Russia, and actually got a reply. He loved watching MASH. I got to stay up late and sit on his lap. Welcome Back, Kotter, which showed his high school in New Utrecht. Mel Brooks movies like High Anxiety, Young Frankenstein, The Pink Panther with Inspector Clouseau, whom he loved imitating. Do you have a room? And The In-Laws with his favorite Alan Arkin, which we watched in his hospital room. Serpentine shell, and the Russians are coming, which he'd love to imitate, saying, Alan Arkin saying, "Emergency, emergency, everybody to get from street." He loved the comedy routine, The 2001-Year-Old Man, and Mort Saul and Bob Newhart's Button-Down Mind. When I was a teenager, he'd say to me, "You can do anything you set your mind to, and be a man of your word." And he once sent me a quote that said, "People won't remember what you say or what you do, but how you made them feel." In the last 5 years, he really softened. He started taking care of my mother, cooking for her, suddenly calling her babe and love. He sometimes teared up simply because we were all watching TV together. He started making more jokes right when I was trying to be serious. He began to finally discover the joy of the present moment. In April, when I told him I was opening in a play, he said something uncharacteristic. He said, "I know you'll be great." He really evolved into a gentle person. He could say, "I love you," instead of ditto. When he got sick, I watched him every day gain new bravery and fortitude. And when he was really weak, all he wanted to know was, "How's your mother?" He never gave up fighting. In his hospital bed, he flashed the V for victory, like his boyhood hero, General MacArthur. When he was too tired to speak, he gave the thumbs up symbol. Later, he just kissed my hand. Later, he just squeezed my hand. But he always squeezed my mom's hand more times, and hers was the last one he squeezed. His courage came not from absence of fear, but through mastery of it, usually through strength, determination, and a very, very strong work ethic. His doctor said he was unprecedentedly strong and brave, and he had never seen anyone last that long in that condition. He called my father a force of nature. My father liked that. The last words my father ever said to me were force of nature. In the last months, that serenity through acceptance of the situation eventually came to him too, and he opened his heart to the spiritual speakers I'd play for him on YouTube. When Deepak Chopra or Wayne Dyer mentioned God or spirit or source, my father's elevated heart rate would come down. On what turned out to be his last night, I told him not to be afraid, and I quoted the Deepak talk that said that death is just a transference of energy to another form, that it was okay to let go because Mom was okay, and I played a meditation that describes a place with no fear, no negativity, no anger, just silence, stillness, and love. I'm glad I could give that to him. I rang the bell that he loved, kissed him, told him I love you, Dad, and sang the same lullaby to him that he sang to me as a baby. Skeeters am a hummin' on the honeysuckle vine. Sleep, Kentucky babe. Close your eyes and sleep. Fly away, Kentucky babe. Fly away to rest. Fly away. Close your